Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another session of Ansible. In this session, what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss about Ansible core components. But before moving further, I just wanted to reiterate that till now, what thing we have completed so far in this course, so that we can proceed further. So let's look our journey. Okay, so far what we have learned, YAML basics, what are the things we required to write YAML documents, where I have given a complete overview about YAML basic data types, what kind of data types, scalar, multi-value, multi-collection, all those things we have discussed in YAML basics. Once we understand that, then we move further in the virtualization techniques, understand that Vagrant, then LXC container as well. Our lab is based on these environment only. So where I have explained that how LXC works, how Vagrant works. Along with that, we have also done the lab setup where I have explained you how to write a Vagrant file, how to run Vagrant file, how you can SSH Vagrant. Once you go inside the system, then I also demonstrated that how to set up an LXC container and how to configure LXD and how we can go inside the containers, LXC containers. So all these things we have discussed so far. Then after setting up the virtual environment, what we did, we have installed Ansible into the LXC containers. So now I have given you a complete overview of Ansible. Now we are in a right position to discuss about the core components. Now we will go inside the Ansible and we will see that we will first discuss that how this core component is interrelated, what are they are called. I will show you each individual components, and when the course proceed I will go inside each component and give you an overview. Along with that we will do the lab. Actually, my intention with this course is that I want to give you a detailed knowledge so that you can use that knowledge in your day-to-day life. You can design the infrastructure and configure those infrastructure with the help of Ansible. So such kind of a knowledge which I wanted to give you, and it is a completely a practical course where you can learn everything used within the industry. So keeping such thing in my mind, I have actually designed the course like that so that you can work practical scenario. So let's move further and see the core component of Ansible. And
So let's understand the core component of Ansible. So what we will understand that how components are related with each other. In this session, what actually I will discuss with you is that I will let you know that how all these individual components related with each other and how it is giving you a bigger picture whenever you are designing automation scripts. So let's understand that how all these things come together and what are the contribution, or I can say that what is the significance of each individual component whenever you are writing a script for automating an infrastructure. So let's understand the scenario first. Suppose if I have a infrastructure which we are going to design that. Suppose if we want to design an infrastructure for Kubernetes where we have three master computer, three master computer and three worker node. These are the individual machine which we will design in this course also. So in the third part of this course, and there is a load balancer. So we have a load balancer over here. So these seven machines I wanted to involve in our automation. So how do I can achieve this? So to achieve this, the first thing, or say the first component which comes into picture, is that inventory. So these inventory will keep the information about these machines I'm going to apply. Now we understand the significance of inventory. So let's understand the significance of playbook. I wanted to perform some activities on load balancer, some activities on master machine. some activities on worker node. So how do I can do that? So here playbooks comes into picture. So with the help of playbooks, we are going to define what instruction on each individual machines where I can perform the actions to the respective machine. I will discuss in more detail about the playbook when I will discuss this component exclusively. So for now, just understand that we have understand components, very important component. One is inventory, then another one is playbook. So inventory is used to keep the information about those machines where we are going to apply the or run the instruction, and those instruction is will be designed within the playbooks. So now let's proceed further and understand the so moving forward, once we understand inventories playbooks, now we are moving to the configuration file. By default, Ansible come with some default configurations. So if we want to override those configuration, where do we can override it? So Ansible come with the configurations contained within a file and which is residing in etc slash ansible slash ansible.cfg file, and that configuration file contains the default setting. For example, if you are not specifying the location of the inventory file, it will by default go to the that particular location slash etc slash ansible. It will go to that location slash etc slash ansible slash ansible.cfg. Within that file, there is an entry for all those default configuration you will find over there. If you want to override any of the configuration, you need to go there and override it and change the configuration which you want for your particular application into that file. That I will explain you in more detail when I will discuss with you about the configuration file individually. Okay, moving further to the should be task first. So now moving further, we need to understand that the significance of task. Now, when we are designing playbooks, so within playbook, what actually do we perform some tasks? So tasks comes into picture then. So how does it will look like? I wanted to show you some structure. So basically, you look into that, then you will find that within the playbook, what we are doing, we are performing some tasks. Basically, roles is nothing but a chunked task. Just forget about roles now. Playbook is performing some task. So that task is nothing but a individual item. For example, here we are telling that we want S3 module. In within the S3 module, I want to perform some activity. So if you see here, so in this, I am telling that I want to use S3 module. There is EC2 module also, which will perform some activity within EC2 module, also with the network. So these activities I wanted to perform whenever this playbook will run. So playbook contains that task and those tasks will be executed. To understand it like that, I will give you brief detail about tasks. Just in this is an overview section. I wanted to make a relationship how all individual components, core component is being related with each other, so that when we design the playbook, it is really very easy for you. Now once we understand the task, let's move it further and understand modules. So what is happening whenever we are writing a task, then what we are doing within that task? So within Ansible, we are doing some activities, and those activities will be written in modules. For example, taking the same example, if you look into that within the playbook, I'm telling that okay, this task to create this VPC, I want these modules should be executed. That VPC should have a network, it should have a EC2 instance, and it should have a S3 instance. So I wanted to configure this VPC with the help of Ansible. So Ansible exposes, I already discussed with you how Ansible internals works. They have exposes some of the functions which is running on this. So what happens when this playbook will run, it will perform this task, and those tasks will be performed using with the help of modules. So now we understand the modules. Then moving further, then within the modules, when we are writing the playbooks, so there are certain things we wanted to be dynamic. This will come further to make it. We are going to perform some of the activities which should be dynamic and which should be provide that dynamics. So we can use variables, and variable, there are different kind of a variables we can use. It is same like other programming language how we are using variable. Ansible also provide those capabilities how we are achieve how we are doing within the other programming language. It is not a programming language, it is just an instructional way. But again, we required a variable where we can achieve some dynamics Ansible. So Ansible provide that mechanism in the form of variables. You can define variables within the playbook itself, within the host file itself, within the inventory file itself. We will look into more detail when we discuss those. Now, when we are performing some task, and suppose that if we want to run some other activities, like after installing this activity, we have to restart the system or restart the services. So those things will be handled by handlers. So that is the thing I will discuss in depth about this handler as well. Now moving further, Ansible exposes some of the facts from some of the variables, which is called facts. So facts keep the information about the system in more detail when we discuss the facts. So just think that facts is one of the component which keep the information about the Ansible. When you run it, you will get so many information which is related to the environment. So those information we can utilize whenever we are designing any automation for any of the infrastructure. So now once we have understand that, so there is other component called templates. So what is the significance of template is that suppose if you wanted to apply some block of code within a file, so we need a mechanism by which you can apply those blocks, and that is going to be some common blocks. For example, just understand that in some of the files, whenever we are setting up the Kubernetes, which we are going to perform in the third part of this course, there is certain activities you are performing on the master nodes, and those activity I wanted to apply within the master nodes. With Ansible, how do we can achieve those? So Ansible provide a mechanism in the form of template where you can design those block of changes, and then you can push it into the task will run, and it will take, and we will refer that, okay, this template, whenever we are writing a block of code, use this template and push it into the file. I will show you a good example in later part of this course. We will set up a load balancer. Within the load balancer, there is HA proxy load balancer we are going to set up. It has some block of code. We will push that when we are designing the load balancer. We will push with the help of template where we will write the block of code, and that block of code will be applied to the load balancer. Now moving further, so there is something called vaults. So vaults is nothing but a secure mechanism by which you can keep some secrets, some keys. So those things I will discuss that, because somewhere we wanted to interact with the system where we can maintain the secrets. So those secrets like access keys and all those things. So how do we can achieve? Because we need to, it is an automation script, and within the automation script, some of the system wanted some authority to access those systems. So how do we can achieve it? If you can keep it in a file system, then it will being exposed to the outside world. Ansible provide a way by which you can keep those secret, so that when automation script will run, the controller machine use those secret, apply those thing within the machine. It will read those secret and access the detail if any access authorization will be needed. So these are the some of the core component which I wanted to discuss with you. So to sum up, we can once look into that, what we have looked into that. We have looked into inventory playbook. Then we have discussed about tasks. Then we have discussed about modules, how modules comes into picture. After modules, we have discussed about variables, how variables is being. Once we have discussed the variables, then we have discussed about templates. We have discussed about templates. Then we have discussed about vaults. So all these things we understand that how these things are related with each other. Now I'm pretty much sure that whenever we will start looking into all these individual things, you are pretty much comfortable with those things. And once you learn this thing, you can easily write all those instruction set YAML document easily. And now you also know that how all these internals. That's it guys for this session I wanted to discuss with you. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye bye.